Hello, I'm Gretchen Beyer, and I'm here to talk about Bali, Indonesia. Have you ever thought to yourself, I want to go to an exotic location far away that's nothing like I've experienced before? Somewhere on the beach that's peaceful, and yet I can go exploring and learn a new language and culture, and yet a place where not too many Americans have traveled to. Well, I'm here to tell you that exotic location you're dreaming about is Bali, Indonesia. In case you're needing an idea of where it is on the map, it's a 6-hour flight north of Sydney, Australia, and a 2-hour flight south of Vietnam. First of all, let me say I've been to Bali, Indonesia, and I know firsthand what a rich culture the island has to offer. It's an island within a country that's an island that's been recorded as the most populated island in the world. According to www.mapsofworld.com, Indonesia has over 200 million people living in it. I knew this was so before I did the research for this speech because I saw my mother win a game of trivia to the answer of Indonesia being the most populated island in the world. Therefore, lots of people equals lots of ingenuity, which equals lots of ingenuity and creativity, which equals rich culture. In this speech, I'm going to discuss religion, cuisine, artworks, clothing, and the family naming system that's unique to the island of Bali. The main religion and the mainland of Indonesia has Islam as its primary religion. Michael Aquino states on goasia.about.com, although, as if it's not strange enough, Bali has its own unique form of Hinduism, now known as Agama Hindu Dharma, which is a direct descendant of this religion brought to Bali by visiting Hindu gurus. Because of this deep-rooted religion, hundreds of temples occupy the island to be accessible to the citizens of Bali in their native worship. I personally never got to go in any of the temples, but I saw a lot of them from afar along the ocean. I did notice in the house I was staying in, the housemaids lit a candle and burned a pile of incense and leaves and things alike at 2 p.m. every afternoon. I was told this is a religious ritual tied in with meditation. Another interesting topic of Bali is their cuisine. When I went to Bali, I was currently a student at Lakota Sydney, so my interests were on cooking. Everything savory to the Balinese people is spicy hot and bursts with flavor. I remember going to the street markets in Ubud, which had spices galore. I saw huge bags of saffron going for dirt cheap in the markets, and if you have ever cooked with saffron before, you know how expensive it is. Bali was at one time the center of the spice trade to Western Europe and to the US. So you can imagine what pride the Balinese people have for their natural resources in their cooking. I quote one Balinese man by the name of Wayan, if it's not spicy, it's not food. Another characteristic of Bali, and what you can find in abundance at the markets in Ubud, is wooden carvings. Almost everything in Bali is made of wood. An example would be this elephant basket that was hand carved, and it's a decorative knick-knack and also a practical basket for putting things in. Buildings and furniture are made out of carved wood also. The magnificent temples mentioned earlier are all made of wood. The wooden carvings are so exquisite, you'll think everyone is a famous artist in Bali. Now I'm going to discuss the unique names you'll hear people call themselves in Bali. There are a total of 4 Balinese names: Wayan, Kadek, Nayoman, and Kitut. These are the same names for both men and women. The logic behind this system is as follows. The firstborn child is named Wayan. It seemed that the majority of people I met in Bali were all named Wayan. The second-born child is Kadek. The third is Nayoman, and the fourth Kitut. If a family has more than 4 children, the naming system repeats itself. The last thing I will discuss about Bali is the attire worn by its people. The attire of Bali is surprisingly diversified. Being a Hindu culture, I remember seeing a lot of locals in saris or traditional Indian dresses. Also, being a destination vacation spot for Australians, Russians, and Western tourists alike, the clothing sold in the markets are generally loose-fitting, lightweight material, and simply made to fit the budget of any traveler. Here is a simple cotton jumpsuit made in Bali to illustrate my point. There are no embellishments, no intense colors, just a simple throw it on and go. I have yet to see anything like this in the stores in the US, which proves I have a unique item. Also, this jacket was made in Bali on commission. I remember getting to Bali with a suitcase full of my everyday clothes, and I still felt the need to go out and buy a whole new wardrobe that was appropriate, because again, it's a distinct place that's very rich in its heritage and culture. In conclusion, if you haven't heard of Bali, Indonesia, you've heard of it now. Chances are, if you're an adventure seeker, you will find a need to go and see what the fuss is about, because it's every bit as amazing as I've described in this speech. If you are not an adventure seeker, and you enjoy the comfort of your own home, I would advise that you do an internet search to get a visual of what I'm talking about. The photos alone will take your breath away. It's honestly the most exotic place I've ever been to, and I consider myself a world traveler. I'm glad I could share some of my Balinese experience with you during this speech. Now get researching on Bali, Indonesia, so you can live your own unique experience. Thank you.